Hello guys, this is KK's Two Cents, and I have not done a video in a while, so I'm happy to be back in front of the camera and uploading for you guys. So I hope you missed me because I definitely missed you guys too. Okay, so a lot has happened over the week, and if you are alive in America and maybe even internationally, you probably have heard about the Trayvon Martin case. So I'll do a quick summary for you guys that maybe are watching me internationally. Hello. And then I will get into my 2 cents, what I think about the case, and basically everything that has happened after the case, and just my feelings. Um, well, first of all, though, I would like to say that uh, I am dedicating this video just to Trayvon Martin, and I really, really, really just have nothing but love towards the families that were affected in this case, because it was not just only Zimmerman's family affected, it was not only Trayvon Martin's family, but many people, because Trayvon was a brother, he was a son, a friend, a classmate. So many lives were forever changed and were forever touched, because I know that his case touched my heart. So that is what I have to say before I continue into the summary. Okay. Well, um, it is a hot day in Southfield, so don't mind me sweaty and shiny through the camera. Okay, so basically, Trayvon Martin was a 17-year-old African American male, and he was walking through an unfamiliar neighborhood after coming from like a 7-Eleven to grab some Arizona iced tea and some candy. George Zimmerman was a self-appointed neighborhood watchman, and he there had been robberies in their neighborhood previously, and people assumed it was like a black male or something like that. I don't know if they knew for sure it was like they were black males, but you guys all know the stereotypes that um, some people have with being a black male, which is extremely hurtful. But that's just a stereotype. So of course they see Trayvon Martin, a bigger guy in a hoodie, walking. He's minding his own business, but of course George Zimmerman racially profiled him. I'm not saying that George Zimmerman is a racist, but I'm just saying this. I'm making this point. There are a lot of people out there that have been saying that this case is not racially motivated and that race is not a factor. I know it is hard to stomach, but you cannot be blind. You cannot be delusional. Race was what started this case. Race has been a factor in this case, and whether you like to believe it or not, there is still a lot of racism, not only in the world, but in this country. Now, this country is very good. I love, America. I'm very patriotic, but I'm just saying that basically the world we live in is not perfect. Um, we have we've come a long way, but there's still a longer way to go. I mean, you just can't be blind to the issues. You just have to be aware of them and make changes within yourself and within your community, and try to educate those around you, and just try. And whether that means signing up for a multicultural event, or that means getting on your knees and praying, you need to try. And that's what you do, but you do not be blind, because as Dr. Phil always says, monsters live in the dark. And when you turn on the lights to bigotry and to prejudice and to unjust behavior, you can make a change. So that's my little public service announcement, KK style. Okay, so people were just angry across the nation, and I would lie to you if I told you I was not angry. This case did anger me. It has angered me, and will always upset me when I think about it because it's just so unjust. George Zimmerman was not even arrested until people protested, whereas a woman, an African American woman, is facing 20 years in prison for firing a warning shot. And I'm not saying that it's good to do that. I'm not really read up on the case, so I don't want to be saying things I don't know. But I know that's a lot less drastic than killing somebody who did nothing that you followed, and you're trying to apply the stand your ground law onto that. Again, I was not in the courtroom. I don't know what was at stake there because it's obviously a lot more complicated than it seems on TV. I've been on jury duty and I know that they don't just randomly pick people and say, I'm sorry. I mean, there it's a lot more complicated. They ask you a lot of questions, and I can imagine that this was an exhausting case to deal with because for jury duty for me, I wasn't dealing with a murder case. This was a I think like a very minor assault case that I had to deal with. And I remember I actually was the alternate juror, so I didn't get to actually deliberate, but I know it went on 3 hours longer, and it wasn't a serious case. It was just in a, a small court. So I can only imagine an internationally renowned, famous case taking forever and being exhausting. So I'm not going to criticize that. And I also can't criticize Zimmerman's lawyer too because he's doing his job. It's a hard case. I just know though that I do think that if there had been more diversity on the panel, and for all of you guys that haven't heard, there were basically, I believe all of the jurors were white except for one lady who was a Hispanic. And I believe that if there was more diversity on the panel, the the outcome would have probably been different because, and I know people will disagree with me on that, and that's cool. But I know why I'm saying what I'm saying. I don't just say things to say them. I have my proof. I actually was watching Anderson Cooper 360, and I love you, Anderson. I love you. I love Anderson Cooper, and I was watching his show, and where they interviewed anonymously, of course, interviewed one of the jurors, and she was extremely condescending towards Rachel Gentile, who was the last person basically to speak to Trayvon. She was on the phone with him the time that he was murdered. She was his really close friend, and she was very condescending to her, and almost there were underlying tones of racism there, and I wasn't the only one who picked it up. The political commentators noticed that as well. And she even said with her mouth, I'm not putting words in her mouth, she said that there were a lot of words that she didn't understand, a lot of things that she didn't understand about the kind of like, as Rachel Gentile called it, the new generation, how they speak and the slang they use, and that's okay. But there was a cultural gap. If anybody who says that there wasn't is just deluding themselves again. There clearly was. And again, it's just, it, I mean, just to show how much race was involved in the case, I mean, Rachel Gentile received so much hate online, and I will not repeat what they said because it's just derogatory and unnecessary. And quite frankly, I saw Rachel on Pierce Morgan, excuse me. And by the way, I love your show too, Morgan, Pierce Morgan. Um, he I love him. He was so accommodating and so nice to her, so real. I love him, and I actually really like her. She was very likable, and she just showed a different side of herself than you saw in the courtroom. She was definitely being articulate, definitely presentable, funny. She was a breath of fresh air. She was real. Okay, so she didn't sound like a Harvard grad. So what? She was herself. And not everybody is Harvard college educated. Who cares? Although I do promote education and I do have my degree. But I can't just look down on somebody just because of the way they speak. And people are so quick to judge. She explained that she has a defect, like a very bad underbite, a severe one that would require a surgery that would take a year's recovery time, which is very bad recovery time. That's obviously very long. And she just didn't want to go through with that because I'm sure it's obviously very painful. And people are just so disrespectful to her. And even the defense attorney's daughter had tweeted, "We beat stupidity," hashtag, uh, hashtag stupidity or something like that. Just disrespect across the board. And it just was a very disgusting moment. The fact that he was let off free, I definitely felt that he should not have been uh, found not guilty. But hey, I guess you can take lemons and make lemonade. And I will say that at least the only good thing that has come of this really is that it's opening up dialogue and conversation. It's bringing light to an issue. There are many, many Trayvon Martins, and it breaks my heart. But there have been so many Trayvon Martins. There's been Emmett Till, a famous Trayvon Martin example of, a young black man that has been victimized and just I don't want to say hurt, but I know actually it was worse than hurt, murdered for something that it I mean just for no reason. It was not something that was not their fault, and it's disgusting. And there have been so many Trayvon Martins, and this has brought up, as I said earlier, a dialogue, a conversation, and people can use this as a learning tool to move forward and to really realize that we need to definitely take more steps towards educating people in our country about race and to just really look within ourselves and make sure that we're not prejudiced. And I know you can say it's easier said than done, but it's opening up a dialogue. And it is a very painful case. It really is a very painful case to me. But I have to say this. It I think what upsets me the most is the fact that he can be found not guilty of murdering a man, and people get 3 years for murdering dogs. And Trayvon Martin was not a dog. He was a son, a friend, a classmate, brother. He bled, and he was human. He wasn't just a picture that you see flashed on the news. This was somebody's pride and joy. And now he's no longer with us. So I must say, rest in peace, Trayvon. Your story is inspiring many people. It's touching many. You will not be forgotten. And to the family of Trayvon Martin, especially to the parents, you, the two of you, have shown grace. You have shown dignity. I have a lot of respect for you. And words can't even describe what you're going through. I have nothing but love for you, and you are in our prayers. And I wish nothing but love, peace, and joy to your family. And again, Trayvon Martin, please rest in peace. You will not be forgotten. Your story is helping to save many lives and educate people. So that was all with KK's 2 cents. Be blessed. Bye.